So this is, I believe, lesson 6, 7, something like that, for the spreadsheet lessons in Google Sheets. What we've done so far is made a fairly sophisticated grid here that has two parameters that does grading and it has conditional formatting applied. We're going to build off of that. This next thing will have only one or two new things, but will be a good review of everything we've done so far. So what we're going to start with is we're going to add a new sheet. We're going to rename that sheet. We're going to rename it BMI. Then we're going to start here, right here, and I'm going to type in low, mid, and high. I'm going to put in the numbers 18, I think it's 25, and 30. These will make sense to you later as we begin to work on that. This particular spreadsheet is built around the mathematical relationship between height and weight. That is one very narrow measure of human health. It actually varies by age range, and what you'll find is that these values, low, mid, and high, will be changed depending on what age range you're looking at. For adults over 20, it's uniform, but the cutoffs for people under 20 actually changed almost every single year. The other thing I want to say very clearly about BMI is that it is but one single measure of health only. This does not tell you how, your BMI does not tell you how good of a person you are. It doesn't tell you how athletic you are, how flexible you are. It doesn't tell you, how nice you are, or what kind of sense of humor you have, or any of those other things. So it's important to me that nobody gets obsessed with BMI while they're doing this spreadsheet lesson. It really is just one measure. And in fact, you could have a great BMI and have cancer or uncontrolled diabetes and be extremely sick as well. So the only reason I'm choosing it really is because it does have a really nice feature for spreadsheets, and that it's based on two factors. Every person's BMI is based on their weight expressed in kilograms, and we'll put those numbers down this column, and their height expressed in meters, which we'll place along this axis here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a weight of, let's say, 45 kilograms. That will be one of the parameters we use to put this spreadsheet together. And then height in meters, actually, I think I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it right here, actually. Let me move this over. And some of this is just to remind you how to do stuff like this. So the height in meters, we're going to start with 1.4 meters as the starting point there. Put that in. That is also a parameter. And these numbers up here will also be parameters for something more later as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in red. So what we'll do is we'll have the weight increase as you go down this way by 1 kilogram at a time, which is, it's also 2.2 pounds. So it's a pretty good value to have here. And I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'll just go to there. The height here, we're going to have that also increase. In this case, though, we're going to have it increase by 10 centimeter units. Again, that's actually kind of a large jump there. You can very quickly get to really, really tall by doing that. So the formula for BMI is, let me actually do it down here somewhere. The formula for BMI is actually weight in kilograms divided by height in meters squared. So it's a fairly simple equation. This is the first time we've used the up caret, they call it the up arrow, and the number 2 to square value. There are other ways to square, but that's just the simplest. We know it'll square on the bottom there. So this person would have a BMI of 19.1. Here's an important point. BMI is always rounded off to the nearest first decimal. So you'll round that off like that. Now, obviously, if I click and drag this right now, it's going to give us errors, as we have learned already, because I don't have the proper dollar signs and proper references in here. So you're going to get these errors here. So instead of doing that, we need to get in and put in the proper dollar signs. As you might recall, function F4 can cycle us through the various options. And what we want is the weight will always be in column B. So that needs to be a dollar before the B. And the height will always be on row 4. So we want a dollar sign on 4. And now that we have that put in, we can drag that up. Oops. Drag that up. Drag it over like this. I think I can double click now that I'm next to another column. Yep, and it drags it down. But to get it to go sideways, I'm going to have to drag it sideways here and click and drag this way. So there are the BMI ranging from somebody here has a BMI of 28.6 down to someone with 13.9. This is not quite the range I was hoping for, so what I might do is make my starting value here be 50 perhaps. Wait, I just typed in 40 again. 50. And there we go. Yeah, we got from 31 to 15.4. So that's a good range to play with there. So there's the basics of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply conditional formatting to this. This time we're going to use the values that are in here, these three sort of cutoff values for to highlight different BMI ranges. As it turns out, for adults over 20, I'm pretty sure it's 18, is the lower end cutoff. If you have a BMI less than 18, that means you're very, very light for your height, and so they call that underweight. If you have a BMI between 18 and 25 as a 20-year-old or older, that puts you in what they call the normal range. I'm not a big fan of the word normal for lots of different reasons, but that's what they call it. That's the terminology they use. Average, no health issues based on weight and height. So they call that normal range. BMIs between 25 and 30, they call that overweight. And above 30, they call that obese. And again, this doesn't tell you much about a person except for how their height and weight relate to one another. So don't overthink it. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this entire range. And we are going to go to format and start some conditional formatting here. And this time we're going to go format cells if less than or equal to. And then here the formula we're going to say equals to that cell. Equals to, that'd be C2. So $C $2. And then we'll make that be, let's make that yellow, I guess, for all the cells that fall into that category. And let's click done and just have a quick look here and see if this worked. And of course it did. We can see, we also get a green background. So we're going to go back into highlight all these cells, go to format, conditional formatting. And that first cell, we're going to have to edit it. So I'm going to click on that and make the background, the fill, be yellow. And we want the text to just be this black or gray or whatever it is that is. So we say that and click this and see, yeah, now we can see. By the way, we can go in and resize our columns to make it so we can see more on the same page, and it'll actually allow me to see stuff while we're doing conditional formatting. So what's cool about this, I'm just going to delete that cell there. What's cool about this is you could go in and, like, for instance, children who are under 20, sometimes that low is moved even lower. They'll move it down to, say, 16, for instance. And so only these people will actually be considered underweight. Or it might go higher. It might go up to 22, for instance. In that case, all of these people would be considered underweight. So, it changes, also changes by gender as well, these things. But so anyway, let's go ahead and highlight this, format, conditional formatting, add another rule. The next rule will be if it's between, pretty straightforward, is between. And then again, we'll have to type in equals to, equals to. If you don't put in the equals, it doesn't understand what you're doing for some reason. It's going to be between, that was C2. So we've got to go to $C $2. And we'll do one later where it doesn't have dollars in there, which is kind of fascinating. And this one will be $D $2. We'll make these just be plain green text. I'm sorry, green background, normal text like that. Say done there. Let's add another rule. This time it'll be for cells that are between D2, so $D $2, oops, 2, let's shift more sign there. Oh, and the equal sign isn't there either, or an equal sign. And then down here, and part of the reason you have to do the equal sign is, you notice it says value or formula. Well, how do you tell it it's a formula? By putting equal sign. Otherwise, it's going to look for a number there, and you know, a cell reference can refer to the value of a cell, but not the cell itself is not a value. You have to do equal sign for it to actually pull the value out of it. All right, so we're going from D2 to E2. So again, $E $2. And this time we will make the background color be orange for overweight, which I personally fall into that category right now. And then add one more rule, and that is if the cell is greater than, and then we'll go to is equal to $E $2. So, and we'll make this go to red. That's what's called obese. If you happen to fall into that range, you definitely should speak to your doctor, because there are health impacts that may, depending on your other health qualities, be an issue there. Surprisingly, performance-trained athletes might have so much muscle density that they actually will have a high BMI, but in fact might be more healthy than all of us. Anyway, so this is how it comes out here. You can see from 1.4 meters high to 1.8 meters high, and from 50 kilograms to 61 kilograms. We actually run the full range for adults over 20. Now, briefly, if I go to BMI ranges for children, I think this is what I want here. Healthy children. No, it was the CDC. Yeah. If we go here, one of the things we find is that this actually shows the BMI values for these obese in red, overweight in yellow. So they did red, yellow, green, and orange down here. I switched the yellow and orange when I color coded mine, so I'd probably want to change that. But it shows you here that a 10-year-old boy with a BMI of 13 would actually be in the underweight category. If they had one of 18, they would be in, they call it healthy. Okay, not normal, healthy, good, I like that. This is overweight with one of 21. Let's see, at 21. So if, say we're doing for a 10-year-old, you'd want to come in here and you'd want to make that bottom number be approximately, looks like 14. The next value looks like 19, 14, 19, and 22 are the values I see there. So if you wanted to do it for a 10-year-old, you'd go 14, 19, and 22. Oops, I put 18, 14 here. It'll just be 18. So if we do that, then you see, yeah, because if you got a 10-year-old boy who's 1.8 meters tall, something weird is going on, and 50 kilograms is very heavy. So, you know, you might want to move this down to, say, 20 kilograms. Okay, maybe that, yeah. And move the height down to 1 meter. That's only about 3 feet tall. And there we go, 20 kilograms. By the way, 20 kilograms. Each kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So this is about a 45-pound kid. Yeah, 3 feet tall, and it comes across like this. You might want to change your step that you're making it from every 10 millimeters, centimeters to every 5 centimeters. If you do that, you can get this range to spread out a little bit easier there. So now it's 1 point, and it goes up by a different range. So this is a way you can play around with these values to change it. Anyway, that's, gosh, 14 minutes. It's a long video. I'll wrap it up there. Certainly, you could go back and put borders in and play around with some bold and that sort of thing. But the functionality of this spreadsheet should be evident. Thanks for your time. Hope you got all of that.